Imagine buying a $3 million home in Vancouver. You believe you own the land, you believe you own the title. But then the federal government signs an agreement saying Aboriginal title exists across much of Metro Vancouver without specifying exactly where. So the question becomes, what exactly do you own? And if you are a homeowner, an investor, or someone thinking of buying property in Metro Vancouver area, this is a conversation you need to understand because what just happened could introduce one of the biggest layers of uncertainty in BC real estate. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Roshan Victor. I'm a real estate professional serving Surrey, Langley, and the Fraser Valley. I help families buy, sell, and invest in real estate. On this channel, we talk about the housing market, economic trends, and the policies and decisions that impact real estate. Today, we are going to break down a story that almost no one in the media initially covered, but it could have a major impact and implication for Metro Vancouver real estate. Before we jump into the topic, if you want clear insights on BC real estate market, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification because I post regularly updates that help home buyers, sellers, and investors alike. So, what just happened? Recently, the federal government signed an Aboriginal rights recognition agreement with the Musqueam Nations. At first glance, this might sound a routine policy announcement, but there is one detail that has raised a lot of questions. The agreement recognizes that the Musqueam Nations have Aboriginal rights and potential title within their traditional territories. Okay. And that territories cover a massive portion of Metro Vancouver. We are talking about areas like Vancouver, Richmond, the North Shore, parts of the Lower Mainland, and even Vancouver Harbor. Millions of people live inside this territory. Naturally, the question becomes, what does this mean to land ownership? Who owns the land that you live on? Here is where things are becoming complicated. The agreement does not specify which land actually has Aboriginal title. Let me repeat. It acknowledges that title exists somewhere within the large territory, but it does not define where. So essentially, the government has acknowledged the Aboriginal title exists without drawing clear boundaries. From a legal and economic perspective, that creates uncertainty because if we do not know where title exists, we do not know which land could be affected, how ownership rights could evolve, or what legal procedures might happen in the future. And uncertainty is something real estate market does not like. Why does this Aboriginal title matter? Understand the concern, we need to understand what Aboriginal title really means. Under Canadian law, Aboriginal title is a very powerful legal concept. It represents exclusive right to land, not just cultural recognition, not just consultation, not just reconciliation, but potential exclusive rights over how land is used. Canadian courts have recognized Aboriginal title as a constitutional right, and in some legal interpretations, it can be considered as a senior interest over land. Now, that does not mean private homes are automatically affected. So, if you own a home in the region which is blanket covered under this agreement, it does not mean you have lost title to your property. But because the agreement does not define land, it raises questions. Why does this create a controversy? Critics say the biggest issue here is not reconciliation. Most Canadians, including me, support reconciliation. The issue here is how the agreement was structured. Because according to legal experts who reviewed the documents, the agreement does not clearly limit the process to federal land. It does not clearly exclude private land. It does not define where title exists. So we are left in a situation where title is acknowledged somewhere, but we do not know where. And that raises a question for homeowners, developers, investors. Let's bring it back to the housing market. Imagine someone planning to buy a home in Vancouver for $4 to $5 million. They ask a simple question: when I buy this property, do I own the land? The answer would be yes, you have fee simple interest in the title. But if there is uncertainty around how Aboriginal titles may apply in the future, some buyers may hesitate. And that is something which real estate professionals like myself are already hearing. The questions like, does this affect my home ownership? Could future agreements change land rights? What happens if title is confirmed later? Even if the actual risk is small, perception matters. And we have all seen it. Perception drives the market, not facts. Real estate market is heavily run on confidence. Another reason the story is gaining attention is its timing, like I said. Housing market in BC is already under pressure. We have seen higher interest rates, slower home sales, and financial pressures on development projects. In fact, reports suggest that distressed sales are on the rise and have been increasing across Canada, not just BC. So, when you add a legal uncertainty around land ownership into the mix, it creates another layer of hesitation for home buyers, sellers, investors, and developers alike. The situation becomes even more confusing when political leaders start responding and everybody is on a different page. Some officials say private properties is not affected. Others suggest that the agreement relates mostly to federal land. But critics point out something more important. The agreement itself does not clearly state what is included and excluded. So the messaging with the legal wordings do not perfectly match. And again, that creates uncertainty. Another factor of complexity to this is there are several First Nations which have overlapping traditional territories in the lower mainland. Each of these nations have historical claims in parts of some region, which means recognizing rights of one group in a broad area can raise questions for others. In fact, some nations have already indicated that they may challenge parts of the agreement. So the story is likely far from over. The larger conversation here is about how reconciliation should work in Canada. Most Canadians, including myself, agree that historic injustices need to be addressed. But critics also argue that reconciliation should involve clear agreement, transparent negotiation, defined land boundaries, and certainty for everyone involved. Because we live in a modern economy and land certainty is fundamental. It allows people to buy homes, invest, build infrastructure, and develop cities. When certainty weakens, investments slow down, like we have seen currently in the market. At the end of the day, real estate is not just about building houses, it's about the law, government policies, and economic confidence. When those systems become uncertain, markets pay attention. For homeowners and buyers in the Metro Vancouver area, the key right now is to stay informed and watch how the situation develops because the details of what happens next could shape the future of real estate in the region. And more importantly, if someone has been living in his house for a longer period of time, that could impact your retirement. If you found this breakdown helpful, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want regular insights on Vancouver and the Fraser Valley real estate market, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I post videos to help understand what is really happening in the market so you can make better real estate decisions. See you in the next video.